Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. When I was a young boy, I discovered something that felt like a secret world to me. It happened one afternoon at my friend Lily's house. Lily and I were playing in her room, surrounded by her toys and colorful posters on the walls. She had an idea to play dress up, a game I had never played before. Intrigued, I agreed. Lily opened her closet, revealing a sea of colors and fabrics. She pulled out a soft pink skirt and a white blouse with tiny flowers on it. I remember the fabric felt smooth and cool against my skin as she helped me put them on. It was so different from my usual jeans and t-shirts. I stood there, slightly awkward, as Lily rummaged through her drawers and produced a small makeup kit. She started applying makeup on my face, explaining each step. There was a light foundation that made my skin look smoother, a hint of blush that she said made my cheeks look rosy, and a swipe of shiny lip gloss. I remember looking in the mirror, feeling a mix of surprise and curiosity. The boy in the mirror looked back at me, but he was different, softer somehow. Lily then fetched a hairband with a bow and placed it in my short hair. I remember the feeling of the band tightening around my head, and how the bow sat lopsidedly, making us both giggle. We spent the afternoon playing in her room, me in the skirt and blouse, with the makeup slightly smudged from our laughter. As the afternoon turned into evening, I changed back into my own clothes. I remember the feeling of the fabric sliding off, leaving a lingering sense of something new, something exciting. But there was also a whisper of fear, a worry about what others would think if they knew. As I walked home, the experience stayed with me. The colors of the skirt, the feel of the makeup, the laughter with Lily. It was a world I had never known, and it intrigued me deeply. But I also knew it was a world that I couldn't openly explore. It was a secret, one that I kept close to my heart. Years passed, and that afternoon became a distant memory. School and other activities took up most of my time, and I had little opportunity to think about dress-up games or makeup. But the memory lingered in the back of my mind, like a quiet melody that you can't quite forget. Then, one day, I stumbled upon a scarf belonging to my sister. It was a light, airy thing with delicate flowers embroidered on it. Without really thinking, I draped it around my neck and looked in the mirror. That old feeling of excitement and curiosity bubbled up inside me. The scarf felt soft against my skin, and its colors brightened my reflection. I began to experiment more, sometimes tried on my sister's blouse or a skirt for a few moments before hastily putting it back. Each time, it was a rush of thrill and fear. The fear of getting caught mixing with the thrill of the fabric against my skin, the transformation in the mirror. I knew these were just pieces of clothing, just threads and fabric, but to me, they were more. They were a window into a world I didn't fully understand but desperately wanted to explore. Yet I also felt a sense of wrongness, a fear that what I was doing was not what boys were supposed to do. It was a conflict that I struggled with silently, alone. As I grew into my teenage years, the feelings didn't fade. If anything, they grew stronger, more insistent. I tried to push them away, to focus on being the person I was expected to be, but the lure of that other world, the world of soft fabrics and bright colors, was always there, just out of reach. It was a confusing time. I felt like I was living two lives, the one everyone saw, and the one that existed in stolen moments with borrowed clothes and a heart full of longing. I didn't know what it meant or what I was supposed to do with these feelings. As the years went by, my curiosity about dressing in female clothes didn't fade away. It stayed with me, quietly growing stronger. After some years, I finally tried on something that wasn't mine. It was a small act, a brief moment, but it marked the beginning of my hidden experiments. One afternoon, when the house was empty, I found myself standing in front of my sister's open wardrobe. My heart was beating fast, a mix of excitement and fear. I reached for a soft purple sweater and a pair of black leggings. The sweater was light and had a small, glittery butterfly on the front. The leggings were smooth and stretched easily as I pulled them on. Standing in front of the mirror in my sister's room, I saw a different version of myself. The clothes felt right in a way that was hard to explain. Every time I dressed up, it was like stepping into a new world. I was still me, but different. More than the clothes, it was the feeling they gave me, a sense of being someone else. Someone who didn't have to fit into the usual expectations of a boy. These moments were brief and always shrouded in secrecy. I was constantly scared of getting caught. What if my parents or sister walked in? What if they found out about this side of me? These fears made my heart race every time I heard a sound, making me quickly change back into my own clothes. I remember one day, when I was wearing a light blue blouse and a knee-length skirt, I heard the front door open. My sister had come home early. Panic surged through me. I hastily took off the clothes, my hands trembling, and put them back exactly where I found them. That day, I sat in my room, my heart still pounding, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. These experiments weren't just about clothes. I started exploring makeup, too. One day, I found an old lipstick in my mother's drawer. It was a deep red color. I remember twisting it open, looking at the color, and then carefully applying it on my lips. I didn't know how to do it properly, so it was a bit messy, but looking in the mirror, I felt a strange sense of happiness. But with every experiment, the fear of being discovered loomed over me. It was a constant battle between wanting to explore this part of me and being scared of what would happen if anyone found out. I felt like I was doing something wrong, even though it brought me a sense of peace. At school, I was just another boy, with short hair and boyish clothes. Nobody knew about this other side of me. It was a secret that I guarded closely, but inside, I always felt different, like I was hiding a part of who I was. It was confusing and sometimes lonely. As I grew older, the desire to dress up didn't go away. It became a part of who I was, something I couldn't ignore. But I knew I couldn't keep using my sister's clothes. It was risky, and it felt wrong to use her things without her knowing. That's when I decided I needed to find another way to explore this part of myself. I started doing small chores around the house to earn a little money. I didn't know what I was saving for exactly, but I knew I wanted something of my own, something that belonged to me, that I could wear without fear. I remember counting the coins and notes, slowly adding up to a small sum that I could call my own. It was somewhere around my teens when I made a decision. I decided to buy something for myself, something that would allow me to explore this part of me more freely. It was a big step, one that filled me with a mix of nervousness and excitement. I knew I had to be careful, to choose something that wouldn't raise questions, but that also felt true to what I wanted to experience. It was around this time that I started to think about what this all meant. Why did I feel this way? Why did wearing these clothes and trying on makeup make me feel happy? I didn't have the answers. Those early years were filled with fear and uncertainty, but also a sense of discovery. After months of saving money from chores, I had enough to buy something for myself, something that would let me explore the part of me that I kept hidden. One night, under the dim light of my room, I opened my laptop and started searching online. My hands were shaking a little as I typed. I was looking for clothes, but not just any clothes. I needed something that felt right, something that would fit the person I saw in my mind. After hours of looking, I finally found it. A simple knee-length dress. It was light green with small white flowers printed on it. The thought of wearing it made my heart race with a mix of fear and excitement. I also found a pair of plain white female underwear. It was a big step, buying these things. I was scared, but I couldn't stop myself. I ordered them late at night, making sure no one would find out. The day the package arrived, my heart was pounding. I waited until everyone was out of the house before I opened it. Holding the dress and the underwear in my hands felt surreal. They were mine, something I had chosen for myself. The dress's fabric was soft and the underwear felt delicate and light. It was a moment I had imagined so many times, and now it was real. I started wearing the underwear under my regular clothes. At school, sitting in class, or walking through the halls, nobody knew the secret I was hiding. It was scary, but it also made me feel a bit happy. It was like I had a secret armor, something that made me feel more like myself, even if nobody else could see it. I remember the first time I wore the dress. I waited until late at night when the house was quiet and everyone was asleep. In my room, with the door locked, I slipped the dress over my head. It fell softly around me, the fabric brushing against my skin. I looked in the mirror, and there I was. The person in the reflection was still me, but also someone else. Someone who felt right. I spent hours in my room wearing the dress, turning in front of the mirror, watching how it moved. It was a mix of joy and fear. Joy for being who I wanted to be, even if just for a little while, and fear of what would happen if I was caught. Wearing the dress became my secret ritual. Whenever I was alone, I would lock my door and put it on. It was my time, my space where I could be myself. But it was always mixed with the fear of getting discovered. Every sound made me jump, afraid that my secret would be revealed. One day, my mom called me for dinner while I was still in the dress. I panicked, rushing to change back into my regular clothes. My heart was racing and my hands were shaking. That was the closest I had ever come to being caught. After that, I was even more careful. Despite the fear, I couldn't stop. Wearing the dress, the underwear, it was something I needed. It made me feel happy in a way I couldn't explain. It was like a part of me that had been asleep was finally waking up. But with this happiness came a lot of questions. Why did I feel this way? Was there something wrong with me? I didn't have anyone to talk to about these feelings. It was just me, alone with my thoughts and my secret. But I also knew that I couldn't keep doing this in secret forever. It was tiring, always being scared of getting caught, always hiding. I started to dream of a day when I wouldn't have to hide, when I could be myself all the time. But that seemed like a dream that was very far away. With time, my confidence slowly started to grow. Wearing the dress and the underwear had become a part of my life, a secret that I kept hidden under my everyday clothes. But I wanted more. I wanted to explore this part of me further. So I decided to save up more money, doing extra chores around the house and saving every bit I could. After a few months, I had saved enough. I opened my laptop late at night, my heart full of excitement and a bit of fear. This time, I was looking for more than just a dress. I wanted a whole outfit, something that would make me feel even more like myself. I found a website that sold what I was looking for. I picked out a soft, blue blouse that had little white flowers on it, much like the dress I had. I also chose a pair of black leggings that looked comfortable, but that wasn't all. I also ordered a wig. It was long and brown, much different from my short, dark hair. And then there was the makeup. I didn't know much about makeup, but I chose some basic things: a lipstick, some eyeshadow, and a little blush. When the package arrived, I was both excited and nervous. I waited again until I was alone, and then I opened it. The clothes were just as I had imagined. The blouse was soft and light, and the leggings stretched comfortably. The wig felt strange but exciting in my hands, and the makeup was a mystery that I couldn't wait to explore. The first time I put it all on, it was like stepping into a new world. The blouse and leggings fit perfectly, and they felt so right. But the real change came when I put on the wig and the makeup. It was awkward at first, trying to figure out how to put everything on. I made a lot of mistakes, like getting the lipstick outside my lips and the eyeshadow too dark. But when I looked in the mirror, I saw someone new. Someone who looked a lot more like the person I felt like inside. I spent hours in my room, practicing with the makeup and trying different ways to wear the wig. Each time I got a little better, a little closer to what I was aiming for. It was fun, experimenting with all these new things, but it was also scary. I was afraid of what would happen if anyone found out. But in those moments, in my room with the door locked, I felt a sense of happiness. I felt like I was getting to know myself better, like I was finally allowing myself to be who I really was, even if it was just for a little while. I knew I couldn't go outside like this. It was too risky, too scary. But in my room, I could be myself. I could explore this part of me that I had kept hidden for so long. It was like I had created my own little world, a world where I could just be. After months of dressing up in my room, I started feeling a bit braver. I wanted to take a bigger step, to go outside as the person I felt I was inside. The thought was scary, but it was something I felt like I had to do. I chose a night when I knew the streets would be quiet. I got dressed in my room, putting on the blouse, leggings, wig, and makeup. Looking in the mirror, I saw someone who looked confident, but inside, I was full of nerves. I waited until it was late, and then I quietly went downstairs. My heart was racing as I opened the front door. The cool night air hit me, and for a moment I almost went back inside. But I didn't. I stepped out, closing the door softly behind me. The streets were almost empty, just a few cars passing by. I walked, my shoes making soft sounds on the pavement. I was scared, but at the same time I felt a kind of freedom. I was outside, being myself, and it felt liberating. I didn't go far, just around the block. Every sound made me jump, afraid someone would see me and recognize me. But as I walked, I started to relax a bit. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with a feeling of happiness. I was doing something I had dreamed of for so long. When I got back home, I was full of a mix of emotions. I was proud of myself for going out, but also scared of what it meant. It was a big step, and I didn't know what would come next. After that night, going out during the day started to feel like something I could do. It was a scary thought, but the night had given me a bit of confidence. I planned it carefully, choosing a day when I knew I wouldn't be seen by anyone I knew. I dressed up again, taking extra care with my makeup and hair. I looked in the mirror, and I saw someone who was ready to face the world. I waited until the house was empty, and then I stepped out, this time in the daylight. The world looked different in the daylight. There were more people, more noises. I felt exposed, but at the same time, I felt a sense of belonging. I walked down the street, my heart beating fast, but with each step, I felt a bit more confident. Nobody seemed to notice me, or if they did, they didn't show it. I walked to the park, sat on a bench, and watched the world go by. It was a normal day for everyone else, but for me, it was something special. I was out in the world, being myself, and it felt amazing. As I walked back home, I felt a mix of sadness and hope. Sadness because I knew I couldn't do this all the time, but hope because I had taken a step towards being who I really was. It was a small step, but it was a start. When I got home, I went back to my room and changed back into my regular clothes. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I knew that this was just the beginning. I didn't know where this path would lead me, but I knew I had to follow it. That day, I had stepped out into the world as myself. It was scary, but it was also one of the best days of my life. I knew I would do it again, and each time I hoped it would get a little easier. I didn't know where my journey would take me, but I was ready to find out. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.